And now we've moved to maybe a little bit more affordable option for someone who's maybe doesn't have that $220 a month budget for their new kitchen. But this kitchen would be suitable in a wide variety of houses. And James, what would you say would be a monthly cost associated with a kitchen similar to this?
Well, the great thing about this kitchen, I mean, is to say it's more affordable doesn't mean it's cheap. It's a gorgeous looking kitchen, and you're talking maybe $110, $120 a month is what you'd be budgeting for a kitchen like this, which is phenomenal.
Yeah, you got your 42-inch cabinets, you got your crown molding, even have Corian countertops. So this kitchen is I think a fabulous option for a lot of people that, have a budget, which most of us have a budget.
Absolutely.
So, and it, kind of just depends on the price range of your home as far as what that budget may be. So let's touch a little bit on when maybe it doesn't make sense to actually do that renovation, or what renovations maybe don't make sense to use a home equity line or a renovation type of loan for.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think, and this is where partnering with the right real estate agent really comes into play, is unless you're just dead set on living in a very specific area. Maybe it's the block that you grew up on, and so there's a sentimental attachment to that particular area. It may not make sense to put a two-story home in an area where there's primarily ranches, or vice versa. So it really depends on what the neighborhood's like right around that.
So you don't want to over improve because you're not going to get your value out of it.
Right. If you're looking at your home as an investment, whether it's a short-term or long-term investment, the rule of thumb is you don't want the nicest house on the block.
Right.
So.
And then when you're talking about maybe less than $5,000 worth of upgrades, like maybe you need to put another layer of shingles on your roof, or you need to replace the furnace or something like that. Would it make more sense to do a home equity line and or just cash for those type of renovations versus trying to do a full 203K streamline or something like that?
Well, if all you need is the roof, then obviously paying cash would be the ideal way to do it. And that might sound odd from a money guy, but cash is the best way to do it. One of the things we really pride ourselves on is, yes, we're lending people money, but we want to help them do it in a very responsible way, in a way that they ultimately can get out of debt. And so if they can pay cash for small improvements, then that's the way to do it. Home equity lines at that point, maybe it's a roof and an upgrade to the heating and air conditioning from an 80% efficiency to a 96.5 or something like that. Those can be pretty expensive upgrades that they may need a home equity line of credit. The main thing to remember about things like roofs and plumbing, HVAC, mechanical type things, is people need to be realistic. You may spend $10,000 on an upgraded HVAC system, but that doesn't mean the value of your home goes up $10,000. People expect a good working mechanicals in the house and in a roof that keeps the house dry. So you have to be realistic.
I find most buyers are pretty tight on wanting a roof over their heads.
Yeah, exactly.
And hopefully one that they're not going to have to replace themselves in 3 or 4 years.
Right.
So in some aspects, doing that roof replacement or doing that HVAC replacement, while it doesn't necessarily give you a wow factor, if you're looking to sell your house in the next 3 to 5 years, it's going to go a long way in the eyes of that next buyer, that they're not going to have to do that right out of the gate themselves.
Or keeping the house. I mean, if you want to live there for the next 20 years, you say this, you're buying, again, kind of that sentimental attachment. This is where you really want to raise your kids. It may make sense to go ahead and put the roof on now. And that's one thing to consider when buying a home, is how long are you going to live there? Because the cheapest time to do the renovations, believe it or not, Nathan, is up front, because we're not going through a second set of closing costs by doing a cash out refinance down the road or a home equity line of credit. We're financing it all at once, and that way it's just built into the 30-year mortgage. They've got the house they really want, and they're set up to win that way.
So you just touched on another type of loan that I wasn't even 100% sure was still available. So there are still some cash out refinance options that somebody could do to do some remodeling projects as well.
Yeah, and again, when we sit down with them, we're going to figure out what is the term left on their current loan, what is the interest rate on their current loan, and how does that compare to the current market conditions. Can we get them into a position where they can pay off sooner, or keep their payment the same, do a massive renovation project, and sometimes keep the payment the same because rates are so much better. So cash out refinances are certainly an option that we would look at if somebody already owns the home.
Okay. Awesome. Well, James, I appreciate you coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
We love having you here on Love Your Indie Home. Thanks so much, and we look forward to our next session where we'll be talking about how to make your home safer